Have you ever looked into her eyes and felt something was different? That strange feeling that something's slipping away, even though she's still right there beside you? It's not always about cheating or betrayal. Sometimes it's much deeper. It's the quiet shift of loyalty, the invisible moment when her heart stops choosing you. And if you've ever loved a woman with your whole soul, you know exactly how it feels when her energy starts to change. Before we dive deep, take a moment, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me until the very end of this video. Because what I'm about to share might completely change the way you see love, loyalty, and yourself. This isn't just a list, it's a story, a reflection, a mirror for every man who's ever given too much, loved too deeply, and received silence in return. So let's uncover 11 hidden signs. She's not loyal, the Stoic truth about women. Her energy feels different, but she says nothing's wrong. Have you ever been sitting beside someone you love deeply, and yet felt completely alone? It's strange, isn't it? You're right there next to her, maybe watching a movie, maybe driving together, but her energy feels off. You can't explain it. She's smiling, she's talking, but something inside you whispers, she's not here anymore. If you've ever felt that, my friend, you already know what emotional distance feels like. It doesn't start with an argument. It doesn't start with her leaving. It starts with silence, with the small invisible moments when her energy starts slipping away from you. And you can't understand why. You text her something sweet, and she replies with "aw" or "that's cute." But you feel that emptiness behind the words. You try to hold her hand, and instead of holding it back tightly like she used to, she just lets it rest there. She's there, but she's not with you. You start remembering how it used to be. The way she'd light up when you entered the room. How she'd lean into your chest when you talked about your dreams. The way she'd laugh at even your dumbest jokes. Because it wasn't about what you said, it was about you. But now that laughter is gone, the sparkle in her eyes has dimmed. And though she swears nothing's wrong, everything feels wrong. You see, this is how disloyalty begins. Not with betrayal, but with emotional disconnection. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Observe what is before you." And that's exactly what most men fail to do. They ignore what's right in front of them, because they hope it'll go back to how it was. But Stoicism teaches something powerful here. To see clearly without emotion clouding judgment. When her energy changes, it's not an illusion. It's a reflection of her shifting heart. Maybe she's no longer inspired by you the way she once was. Maybe she's giving her emotional energy somewhere else. Not necessarily to another man, but to her own ego, her fantasies, her freedom. But either way, she's no longer fully choosing you. And here's the hardest part. When you try to fix it, when you start over-giving, texting more, showing more love, she pulls away even further. Why? Because energy can't be forced. Once it leaves willingly, chasing it only proves that it's gone. So what should you do? You pause. You breathe. You remember who you are. You don't beg for connection, you observe the disconnection. Because a Stoic man doesn't cling to fading energy. He accepts it with strength. The truth is, if she's meant for you, she'll realign. But if she's not, her absence will teach you more about love than her presence ever could. So ask yourself this, and when she says nothing's wrong, do you feel peace? Or do you feel distance? Because sometimes silence isn't calmness, it's goodbye in disguise. And that's the first hidden sign she's not loyal. When her energy feels different, and your heart knows the truth long before her lips ever admit it. 2. She guards her phone like it's a secret. Have you ever noticed her acting strange with her phone? Like she suddenly starts tilting the screen away when a message pops up. Or maybe she used to leave it lying around and now it's always face down. At first you don't think much of it. You tell yourself, maybe she's just being private or she deserves her space. But deep down, something doesn't feel right, does it? You start to remember the old days, when you'd be lying on her lap, and she'd be scrolling through her phone laughing, saying, "Look at this meme," or "Guess what Sarah just texted me." She didn't care if you saw her messages, because her loyalty wasn't just in her words, it was in her openness. But now, everything's different. Her phone has become a part of her, almost like an extension of her hand. She takes it everywhere, bathroom, kitchen, even when she just goes to get a glass of water. And the strangest part? The moment you ask who's texting you, her entire energy shifts. She gets defensive. Her tone changes. She might say, "Why are you so controlling?" But you weren't controlling, were you? You were just curious. Curious because you can feel the difference. That defensiveness is not about privacy. It's about guilt trying to disguise itself as independence. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts, and when her thoughts begin to drift away from loyalty, when she starts entertaining things she knows would hurt you, her energy, her eyes, and yes, her phone habits will start to change color too. You see, a loyal woman has nothing to hide. She might still value her privacy. Sure, but privacy and secrecy are two very different things. Privacy is healthy. It's about boundaries. Secrecy, on the other hand, is about deception. It's when she starts guarding her world because she's doing things she knows wouldn't sit right with you. And that's where most men fall into the trap. They start snooping, checking her phone, losing sleep over what she's hiding. But here's the Stoic truth. You don't need to search through her messages to know the truth. Because when someone's loyalty fades, their behavior becomes the proof. Think about it. The late replies, the half smiles when she reads a text, the sudden change in phone password, the way she tilts the screen away when you walk into the room. All of it is communication, silent communication. The Stoic man doesn't chase that. He observes it. He remains calm because he knows that trying to control her behavior won't bring back her respect. It'll only drain his own peace. So if she guards her phone like a secret, remember this, the problem isn't the phone. The problem is the distance that made the phone a secret in the first place. Because when loyalty fades, secrecy grows. And when secrecy grows, the love you once shared starts fading in silence, one hidden message at a time. So don't fight to unlock her phone. Unlock your awareness. Because the moment her phone becomes her world, it's often because you're no longer a part of it, or she starts comparing you to others. Have you ever loved someone so much that you started becoming the best version of yourself just to make them proud? And then one day, the same woman who once admired you, who once called you her inspiration, starts saying things like, "Why don't you do things like him?" Or, "He's so ambitious." You used to be like that. That one line hits deeper than any argument ever could, doesn't it? Because in that moment, something inside you breaks, not your pride, but your connection. You remember the days when she used to brag about you to her friends, when she'd say, "You're the only man who gets me," and now suddenly you're not enough. It's like she's holding up a measuring stick, not to help you grow, but to make you feel smaller. This, my friend, is one of the most painful and hidden signs that her loyalty is fading. When a woman starts comparing you to others, she's not just observing, she's emotionally shifting. See, at the beginning of love, she's your biggest supporter. She sees your flaws, but she chooses you anyway. She admires your potential, your silence, your strength. You're her safe space. But the moment she starts emotionally disconnecting, she begins to seek admiration elsewhere. And that's when comparisons begin. She starts looking outward, maybe to a friend, a coworker, or even a fictional man online. And she begins to project what she wishes you were, instead of appreciating who you are. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." But let me add something to that. Don't waste your peace trying to prove it to someone who's already stopped seeing it. Because the truth is, comparison isn't about you falling short. It's about her losing the ability to see your worth. She's no longer observing your growth. She's observing her dissatisfaction. And when admiration turns to criticism, respect quietly leaves with it. This is where many men start breaking down. They try to chase validation. You start working harder, texting more, doing more, hoping she'll see that you're good enough again. But that never works, does it? Because the moment you start competing for her approval, you lose your power and she loses her respect. A Stoic man doesn't play that game. He doesn't measure his value by someone else's comparison. He stays rooted in who he is. Because if her love is genuine, she'll celebrate your progress, not measure you against another man. And here's what you must remember. When a woman truly loves you, she'll push you to grow. Yes, but she'll never make you feel less while doing it. Comparison is not motivation. It's emotional withdrawal disguised as honesty. So the next time she says, "Why can't you be more like him?" Pause, breathe, and remember that her comparison says more about her confusion than your value. Because when a woman stops seeing you as enough, no amount of effort will change her vision. Only her heart can. And if that heart is already drifting elsewhere, the best thing you can do is let your silence remind her of the man she once admired. Because sometimes distance speaks louder than defense. And that's what a Stoic man understands. You don't compete for loyalty. You observe when it's gone. 4. She's emotionally available to everyone except you. Have you ever felt like you were slowly becoming a stranger to the woman you once shared everything with? She's still in your life, still in your home, still sending you messages, but somehow she feels unreachable. You see her laughing with her friends, being caring to her coworkers, even opening up to strangers online. Yet when you try to connect with her, it's like you're talking to a wall. Her responses are short. Her eyes don't meet yours. Her heart feels closed. And that hurts, doesn't it? Because this is the woman who used to tell you everything. Her fears, her dreams, her random thoughts at 2 a.m. She used to need you emotionally. Now she shares those same feelings with the world. Except you. That's not just emotional distance. That's emotional replacement. It doesn't always mean she's cheating or talking to another man. Sometimes it's deeper. She's replaced your emotional role. The version of her that used to seek comfort in you now finds comfort in attention, validation, or her own ego. You'll notice this in small moments. She posts more on social media but says less to you. She asks other people for advice but ignores yours. She listens to others' problems with patience but dismisses yours with, "You'll be fine." It's confusing because she's still kind, still present, but not emotionally available. You start asking yourself, what did I do wrong? Or why does she share everything with everyone but me? But here's the Stoic truth. You didn't necessarily do anything wrong. You're simply witnessing a shift. The moment her emotional loyalty starts to drift away. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Look well into yourself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if you will always look." That means don't try to chase her emotions. Don't try to fix what doesn't want to be healed. Instead, turn inward. Because when she pulls away emotionally, the worst thing you can do is chase. The more you chase, the further she retreats. When a woman becomes emotionally unavailable to you but open to everyone else, what she's really saying is this: I still want to appear kind and loving to the world, but I no longer want to give that part of me to you. It's a silent goodbye in progress. And the most painful part? You'll still feel responsible for her distance. You'll think, maybe if I just love her more, she'll open up again. But love isn't about forcing doors open. It's about recognizing when they've quietly closed. A Stoic man doesn't beg for emotional attention. He observes the shift, accepts it, and stays calm, because he knows that genuine love can't be rebuilt on uneven ground. So if she's emotionally open to the world but cold to you, take it as truth, not a test. Because the warmth she gives others used to belong to you. And if it's gone, it means her loyalty is no longer aligned with your soul. Don't try to remind her of what she lost. Instead, remind yourself of what you deserve. Someone whose emotional energy flows naturally toward you, not away from you. Because love should never feel like begging for a conversation. It should feel like coming home. And when that home turns cold, the Stoic man doesn't rebuild it. He walks toward the peace that never left him. 5. Her words don't match her energy. Have you ever had a moment where her words said one thing, but her energy told an entirely different story? She says, "I love you," but her tone feels dry. She says, "I'm just busy," but somehow she's got time for everything else. She tells you everything's fine, but you can feel the emotional storm hiding behind that phrase. If you felt that, my friend, then you already know. Words are easy to speak, but energy never lies. There's a story I want you to imagine. You're sitting across from her at dinner. The restaurant lights are warm. Her favorite song plays softly in the background. And for a moment you think maybe things are finally okay. She smiles politely, asks about your day, and compliments the food. But deep down you can feel something's off. Her eyes don't linger on you anymore. Her laughter feels forced. And though her lips move with all the right words, there's a distance, a silence between every sentence. That silence is where the truth hides. Because when a woman is loyal, her words and her energy align. You don't need to analyze her texts or second-guess her tone. You can just feel the authenticity. But when her loyalty begins to fade, her words become a mask, a tool to maintain comfort while her soul quietly slips away. She might say, "I miss you," but only after you stop texting. She might say, "You mean a lot to me," but never make the effort to prove it. She might even call you my love, yet keep you feeling like a stranger in her world. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." And when her thoughts begin to shift, when her heart starts leaning elsewhere, her energy follows long before her words do. That's why, as men, we must learn to listen not just with our ears, but with our awareness. The Stoic man doesn't get fooled by pleasant phrases or soft promises. He pays attention to the feeling behind them. If her words are light but her eyes are heavy, if she says "I love you" but moves like she's somewhere else, you don't argue with her lies. You simply acknowledge the truth that's already speaking through her silence. Because when loyalty fades, language becomes performance. And once you start sensing that performance, once her energy no longer embraces you the way it used to, you'll know she's no longer emotionally in the relationship, just around it. Here's the thing. Women who are loyal don't need to convince you with words. Their loyalty is felt. You see it in their small actions, their consistency, their presence even during silence. But when her energy turns inconsistent, when her actions no longer carry the same care her words claim, she's already halfway gone. So don't chase her explanations. Don't keep asking, "What's wrong?" when you already know the answer. Instead, remember what the Stoics taught. Trust truth in behavior over comfort in language. Because real love doesn't confuse you. It doesn't say "I care" while pulling away. It doesn't make you wonder if her "I love you" still means what it used to. When her words and her energy no longer match, that's not love speaking. That's loyalty leaving in silence. And the Stoic man? He doesn't try to decode the mixed signals. He steps back, breathes, and lets truth speak louder than her words ever could. 6. She criticizes the man she once admired. Do you remember when she used to look at you with admiration? When your confidence, your calmness, your silence, all the things you now get criticized for, were the very reason she fell for you? That's one of the cruelest ironies of love. The same traits that once made her feel safe and drawn to you suddenly become the very things she picks apart when her loyalty begins to fade. Let me paint a picture for you. There was a time when you were her rock. She'd tell her friends, "He's so composed. He doesn't react. I love that about him." But lately, when you stay calm during an argument, she throws her hands up and says, "You're so emotionless. You don't even care." See the shift? It's not you who changed, and it's her perception of you that did. And that change in perception is one of the first invisible cracks in loyalty. When a woman starts losing emotional connection, she begins to emotionally detach by devaluing what she once respected. It's a form of psychological distancing. She's convincing herself that you're no longer the man she once admired, so she can justify her change in feelings. She might say things like, "You used to be ambitious. What happened to you? You don't make me feel special anymore." Or even worse, she'll start comparing you to others. But let's pause for a second, my friend. Do you remember how she used to make you feel like you could conquer the world? How she'd look at you like you were her hero, her safe place? That memory, now that spark, and it wasn't fake. It was real. But something inside her started shifting when she stopped nurturing it. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." Her change in behavior is one of those outside events. And no matter how much you try to fix it, explain yourself, or win her admiration back, you'll only drain your energy trying to chase something that's already turning its back on you. When a woman begins criticizing what she once loved about you, it's not constructive feedback anymore. It's emotional withdrawal. It's her way of rewriting the story to make her heart's exit feel justified. A loyal woman doesn't stop admiring her man when things get hard. She might get upset, she might disagree, but deep down, she still respects who you are. But when that respect fades, criticism replaces connection. Every word you say starts to be questioned. Every action becomes a flaw. She'll start to focus on what you lack, not what you bring. And that's the moment you must remember your value. A Stoic man never begs to be re-admired. He doesn't chase validation from someone whose eyes no longer see his worth. He simply observes quietly, knowing that when admiration turns into criticism, love is slowly losing its way. So when she begins to attack the same qualities she once adored, your calmness, your focus, your silence, your discipline, understand this. It's not about you being less. It's about her no longer being aligned with what she once valued. And that's where your strength as a Stoic man must rise, not by reacting, not by defending yourself, but by staying grounded in who you are. Because when admiration turns into criticism, her loyalty isn't dying, it's already dead. 7. She stops respecting your time. Do you remember when she used to wait for your call like it meant something? When she'd text you good morning before you even opened your eyes? Or show up early just because she couldn't wait to see you? Now that she takes hours to reply, she cancels plans last minute. And somehow you've become the one always waiting for her to text back, to show up, to care again. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how time feels different when love fades? In the beginning, every second mattered. You both made time for each other, no matter how busy life got. But now, she says she's busy, yet her phone lights up with other names. She says she's tired, but she still has the energy to scroll on social media, laugh at memes, or post stories that have nothing to do with you. That's not just a lack of time, my friend, that's a lack of respect for your time. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." And in this context, waste no more time waiting for someone who treats your time like it's disposable. You see, when a woman is loyal and truly loyal, she values your time. She understands that every moment you share is a reflection of your effort, your care, your attention. But when her heart starts to wander, her respect for your time is the first thing to disappear. It starts small. She'll reschedule plans saying something came up. Then she'll start showing up late, not once but repeatedly. Eventually, she'll stop showing up altogether, with excuses that sound polite but feel hollow. And deep down, you'll feel it. That shift from priority to option. From being the man she couldn't wait to see, to being the man she might see if nothing else comes up. Here's what most men do wrong. They start chasing harder. They double text, they try to fix it. They keep adjusting their own schedules just to fit hers, hoping that maybe, just maybe, she'll notice their effort. But that's where you lose your power. A Stoic man understands that time is the most sacred form of currency. Once spent, it never returns. If she no longer respects your time, it means she no longer respects your presence. And you cannot build a lasting connection where respect is eroded. Ask yourself this: if she valued your presence when you first met, what changed? It's not that your time became less valuable. It's that she stopped seeing it as precious. And that's the moment you must remember your worth. Stop rearranging your schedule for someone who keeps canceling. Stop waiting hours for replies that used to come in seconds. Because every minute you waste waiting for her is a minute you steal from your own peace, your purpose, your growth. When she stops respecting your time, that's not love being tested. That's love being taken for granted. And a Stoic man never begs for time. He reclaims it. So when you see her taking your time for granted, don't react with anger. Just quietly pull back. Focus on yourself and let her feel the silence she created. Because sometimes when you stop chasing, the truth becomes clear. She never ran out of time. She just stopped wanting to spend it with you. And once that happens, your job isn't to wait. It's to walk away with grace, dignity, and the quiet power of a man who knows his time is not for everyone. 8. She starts testing your limits. Have you ever noticed how when love begins to fade, peace slowly turns into chaos? She starts pushing buttons she never used to touch. She'll say things she knows will sting. Little remarks meant to get a reaction. And suddenly the calm connection you once had feels like a battlefield where she's testing how much you'll tolerate before you finally break. Now let's get real for a moment. Do you remember when your relationship used to feel easy? When she'd look at you with softness, not suspicion? When every joke between you was playful, not passive-aggressive? That was when she respected your boundaries. But when her loyalty starts to fade, that respect begins to erode. It begins subtly. She might say something like, "You've changed," or "You're too serious lately." At first you brush it off, maybe she's having a bad day. But slowly her words become sharper, her tone more dismissive. She starts doing things she knows you wouldn't appreciate, talking to guys you've expressed concern about, ignoring your messages on purpose, or making you jealous to see how you'll respond. And here's where most men lose their footing. They react. They get angry. They argue. They chase. They start explaining themselves, hoping she'll understand how much they care. But that's exactly what she's testing. Your emotional control. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. And that's the essence of a Stoic response to these tests. When a woman starts testing your limits, What she's really doing is measuring your center. She's subconsciously asking, can this man stay grounded when I try to shake him? It's not always about cruelty. Sometimes it's her own insecurity, confusion, or emotional restlessness. But if her loyalty has already begun to fade, those tests turn into a way to justify her detachment. Because if she can make you lose your composure, if she can get you to beg, argue, or react emotionally, then she can quietly tell herself, see, he's not who I thought he was. And just like that, she rewrites the story in her mind to justify leaving. But here's what separates the Stoic man from the emotional one. The Stoic doesn't fight chaos, he neutralizes it with calm. When she tests him, he doesn't fall into the trap of proving himself or arguing for validation. He stands firm in silence. Because silence, when used with control, is a form of power she cannot manipulate. Ask yourself, how many times have you let her words pull you out of your peace? How many times have you found yourself apologizing just to stop her from being upset, even when you did nothing wrong? Every time you bend your boundaries for her comfort, you teach her that your limits are negotiable. And once she learns that, she'll keep pushing further, until she no longer respects the man she's testing. A loyal woman doesn't test your patience to feel power. She protects your peace because she values it. But a woman losing interest will provoke, criticize, or ignore, just to see if you'll still stay. The Stoic truth? When you stop reacting, she's forced to face her own reflection. She realizes that the emotional control she thought she could shatter is actually your greatest strength. So when she starts testing your limits, let her. Don't argue. Don't explain. Don't chase. Let your silence speak the truth that no storm, no test, no manipulation can move a man who is anchored in his own peace. Because once she realizes that, one of two things will happen. Either she'll respect you again, or she'll walk away. And either outcome is in your favor. 9, she wants space but not distance. Have you ever had a woman tell you she needs space, but still somehow keeps you close enough not to move on? She doesn't want to talk every day, but she doesn't want you to talk to anyone else either. She doesn't want to meet up, but she still checks your stories, reacts to your posts, or texts you I miss you when she feels lonely. It's confusing, right? You're left wondering, does she still care? Or is she just afraid of letting go completely? Let me tell you this. When a woman says she wants space but not distance, she's trying to emotionally detach without losing control over you. She's no longer fully invested, but she's not ready for you to stop caring either. And that's one of the clearest signs her loyalty is fading. Let's rewind for a second. Remember when she used to crave your presence? When she'd get upset if you didn't text back right away? When just hearing your voice could shift her entire mood? That woman didn't want space and she wanted you. But now she says she needs time to think, to find herself, or to focus on her peace. And while those words sound spiritual or mature, what she often means is, I'm emotionally unsure, and I don't want to commit fully. But I also don't want to lose your attention. Marcus Aurelius once said, nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. And that's a truth every Stoic man must live by. To understand that peace doesn't come from chasing confusion. When she begins asking for space, it's not your job to fill that void with effort or explanations. It's your job to observe. Watch how she behaves during this so-called space. Does she truly focus on herself, reflect, and reconnect with you with clarity later? Or does she use this distance to entertain new energy, new people, new experiences, and while keeping you emotionally hooked? If it's the latter, then understand. She doesn't want healing. She wants control. She wants to keep you orbiting her world while she explores her options. That's why so many men end up trapped. They think giving her space will make her miss them, but in reality, it only teaches her that she can keep you without choosing you. The Stoic man, however, moves differently. He doesn't argue for closeness. He doesn't chase after temporary absence with permanent effort. He lets her have all the space she asks for and more. Because a Stoic knows that if someone truly values your presence, they'll never risk losing it. Ask yourself, if you pulled away today, would she come closer? Or would she disappear? That answer tells you everything. A woman who wants space but not distance is trying to rewrite the rules of connection to keep your energy while freeing hers. But love, my friend, doesn't work like that. You can't have half of someone's loyalty and call it love. You can't be an option in someone's life and still feel whole. So when she says she wants space, don't panic. Don't beg. Don't try to prove your worth. Simply give her the silence she asked for, not as punishment but as clarity, because true space reveals true intentions. If she comes back, it means her heart found its way home. If she doesn't, it means her loyalty was already gone long before she said the words. Either way, you win, because the man who can walk away peacefully from confusion is the man who never loses himself in someone else's uncertainty. 10. Her energy turns defensive. Have you ever noticed how, when loyalty starts to fade, love turns into tension, and every conversation feels like walking on eggshells? You ask her a simple question and suddenly she's defensive. You try to express how you feel and she accuses you of being controlling. You bring up something that's bothering you, and she flips it, turning you into the problem. That, my friend, is one of the clearest hidden signs that her loyalty is slipping away. Because a loyal woman doesn't need to defend herself against your care. But when her heart begins to drift, even your concern feels like confrontation. Let me take you back for a second, to the version of her from the beginning. Remember how open she was? You could ask her anything, talk for hours, share your fears, and she'd listen and calm, understanding, warm. There was no tension, no need to overthink every word. But slowly something changed. Now when you ask, "Is everything okay?" she snaps back with, "Why are you always accusing me?" When you say, "You seem distant lately," she says, "You're just overthinking." It's no longer you against the problem, it's you against her. That defensiveness isn't random, it's a shield. Because deep down she knows something has shifted. Her energy has changed, her interest has faded, and her emotional loyalty isn't where it used to be. And rather than face that truth, she hides behind arguments, attitude, and excuses. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If someone is mistaken, instruct them kindly and show them their error. If you can't, blame yourself or no one." But the Stoic man knows something deeper. When someone doesn't want to be understood, peace comes from silence, not explanation. When her energy turns defensive, she's no longer listening to understand you. She's listening to protect her own guilt. And that guilt often comes from the quiet awareness that her heart is no longer where her words are. Watch her closely, not with suspicion, but with awareness. Does she get irritated when you ask simple questions? Does she twist your concern into accusations? Does she avoid accountability by flipping every issue back onto you? If so, you're not dealing with communication anymore. You're dealing with deflection. A woman who is still emotionally loyal will want to work through issues with you. She'll welcome your honesty, even when it's uncomfortable. But a woman who's mentally checked out will resist accountability at every turn. She'll turn small conversations into emotional landmines. She'll create arguments just to distance herself emotionally. And worst of all, she'll start making you feel like you're the problem for noticing the problem. That's the trap most men fall into. They start apologizing for things they never did. They start questioning themselves, thinking, maybe I'm too sensitive. Maybe I should stop bringing things up. But no, that's not sensitivity. That's your intuition trying to warn you. The Stoic truth is this: the moment a woman becomes defensive about your genuine concern, she's no longer protecting love and she's protecting lies. And a Stoic man doesn't fight to expose those lies. He simply steps back, observes, and lets her energy reveal itself. Because you can't argue someone back into loyalty when her words start sounding harsh, when every question feels like a trigger, and when peace feels impossible. It's not communication that's dying, it's connection. So when you sense that defensiveness, don't try to calm her storm, calm yourself. Let her defensiveness echo into silence, because eventually, silence becomes the mirror that forces her to see what her attitude was hiding. And if she values you, truly values you, she'll reflect, soften, and rebuild. But if she doesn't, then her defensiveness was never about you. It was about her exit strategy. Either way, the Stoic man wins, because he never wastes his peace arguing for what's already leaving. Yeah, her energy changes, and so does the way she looks at you. Have you ever looked into someone's eyes and felt something change, even though they didn't say a word? She's smiling, she's talking, she's there. But the spark that once connected you both, it's gone. Her eyes used to light up when you entered the room. Now they barely notice when you leave. That shift, that invisible but undeniable change, is one of the final signs that her loyalty is no longer with you. Let me take you back for a moment. Remember how she used to look at you in the beginning? That look wasn't just attraction, it was admiration. Trust and connection all wrapped into one. When she looked at you, she saw her safe place, her future, her man. You'd be talking about something small, your dreams. your goals, your day, and her eyes would follow every word, as if you were the only thing that mattered. That's what loyalty feels like before it's ever spoken. But when that loyalty starts to fade, her energy shifts first, long before her words do. She becomes harder to reach, not because she's busy, but because her spirit has pulled away. The warmth turns cold. The excitement turns routine. And when you look at her now, that same gaze feels distant, distracted, or empty. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Look well into yourself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if you will always look." And this is exactly where you, as a Stoic man, must turn inward. Because no matter how deeply you love her, you cannot chase back energy that's already left. Here's something most men don't realize. A woman's eyes are the truest reflection of her loyalty. When her energy changes, her eyes stop seeing you and they start looking through you. It's not hatred, not even indifference sometimes. It's just a quiet absence. She's there, but her soul isn't. You'll feel it in small ways. She laughs, but not the same way. She hugs you, but there's no emotion in it. She listens, but her mind is somewhere else. And no matter how much you try to bring that old warmth back, it feels like trying to breathe life into a flame that's already burned out. Here's the truth most men don't want to face. When her energy changes, it's rarely random. It's the result of emotional withdrawal. Slow, silent, and steady. Maybe it's because she's lost respect. Maybe she's found new attention elsewhere. Or maybe she's simply disconnected from the version of herself that once loved you deeply. But the Stoic lesson is this: you cannot save something that's already chosen to let go. And you don't need to, because that change in her energy isn't a punishment, it's a revelation. It's the universe whispering. It's time to stop chasing the look of love and start becoming the man who doesn't depend on it. So when you notice her eyes no longer meet yours with warmth, don't beg for it back. Don't ask, "Why don't you look at me the same?" Because if you have to ask, you already know. Instead, look back at her with calm acceptance. Not anger, not desperation, just understanding. Because a Stoic man doesn't cling to the changing energy of others. He returns to his own. He knows that the way someone looks at you says more about them than it ever does about you. And one day, when you've rebuilt your peace, your power, your self-respect, someone else will look at you with that same light again. Only this time you'll know how to protect it, not by chasing it, but by never losing yourself for it. So when her energy changes, and her eyes no longer see you the same way, take it as your cue. Not to fight harder, but to walk stronger. Because the man who can stay calm when the love in her eyes fades is the man who has already mastered himself. So if you've seen these signs, don't panic, awaken. Don't cling, observe. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.